from the Linux Academy, and this is our kind of first live stream. We didn't really kind of advertise it very much. We just put a little bit of information on the site a little bit ago because it's the first time we're doing it, and we have all the instructors here, and so we're just kind of winging it. So you'll have to bear with us as we get started and really kind of progress through and see what this looks like. But over the course of the past few months, we've had quite a few people ask for the ability to for us to do maybe a webcast or a podcast to talk about specific items, maybe such as certification preparation, be able to answer questions live Q&A to members. So first off, what we have again is I'm Anthony from the Linux Academy, and you've heard that before. And we also have Stephen from the Linux Academy, Terry, and Richard from the Linux Academy. Stephen and Terry, as well as I, are primarily instructors on the Linux Academy. We'll answer things in the community. You'll see a lot of content from us. And you'll also hear from Richard and I quite a bit when it comes to development items or any type of account management questions that you usually have. And so we're just really excited to be here, and we're going to start off with a little bit about ourselves. And I'm going to go ahead and start off with Richard. Richard, why don't you say a little bit about what you do at Linux Academy, be a little bit about yourself so people know, really get to know you a little bit.
Okay, guys. Yeah, I'm Richard. I work at with Anthony here at the Linux Academy, and I'm not a video instructor, so I'm not really as much used to talking into the mic like this. But what I do here is basically I'm part of the development team. So the things you see today, we just prepared the live event screen. We just are testing it out, and so we're open to hearing your suggestions on that. Also have a lot of other plans and development that we'll be talking about a little bit later. And so yeah.
It's actually really cool because Richard started working on our live plans, our study plans, which we've had kind of a filler site on the site for the past few months, really since December, to be honest with you. And we have a code written for it already, and we really just stopped where we were and we asked ourselves, what is this going to look like? And what are Linux Academy members really looking for a study plan? So if you have followed the community a little bit, you've probably seen that discussion going on. And if it's something that you like, we'll talk a little bit more about our ideas behind it, actually a little bit later in this live stream. Now, real quick before we go on to the next guys, I don't know how long this is going to last. So again, we're just kind of winging it our first time. So if you have questions, post them in IRC. Inside the chat on this live page, and then we'll see about answering them for you. So feel free to do that at any time, and we'll try to get those incorporated. So next, let's take a look at Stephen, or let's ask Stephen a little bit about himself at the Linux Academy.
Hey guys, this is Stephen. I work here with Anthony and everyone else here at the Linux Academy as well. I'm a video instructor. You'll find one of the courses, the brand new AWS Hybrid Technologies course, which I'm working on right now. Hope to get that wrapped up here in the next few weeks. Also getting ready to put out our OpenStack, which I'm really excited about, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Just excited to be here.
Thanks, Stephen. And next we have Terry. Terry's been with us for quite a long time. And Terry, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi everybody, this is Terry. I'm one of the video instructors on Linux Academy, and I've actually been working with Anthony and team for over a year now, and I've developed and put together a number of video courses on everything from Android application development to ESXi training. In fact, we just finished that course up, which is over 30 videos. We've put together an introduction to Linux, how to run Linux on your desktop, how to prepare for your Linux job interview, and then, of course, the requisite LPIC 101 and 102 and some 201 courses that I've done over the past, gosh, it's probably been actually 16 months now that I've been working on videos with Anthony. So I continue to work on all of that stuff and look forward to what we've got coming up.
Time flies when you're having fun. 16 months, it seems like a long time, but it really doesn't seem like a long time at the same time. Now, I want to start off by saying these guys are really being humble about themselves. You know, we have Terry, who brings experience. He's a director in a Linux environment, runs a complete IT team, managing basically hosting infrastructures for 60 million, 70 million visitors a month. So he's been in the Linux field for about 20 years, brings a lot of experience, you know, when it comes to interview questions, what to expect in real life environments. From a management perspective, Terry brings a lot of that, and that's a really unique perspective, and I'm really glad we have that expertise from you, Terry. And Steven here has been, he brings in senior security engineer and networking level expertise, and Steven really kind of one of his cool expertise was, I'm going to have you mention it. So just mention kind of what you did when you worked at the bank. Go ahead and tell me about it.
Sure. So basically, I worked at a large financial institution that was merging and buying other financial institutions. So what we would have to do is walk in on the ground floor and take already existing IT infrastructures and then merge them into our data centers. So basically go in, tie in a complete bank that was already running, keep them running, because usually their IT staff, wouldn't be there anymore. So we'd have to keep their bank running, their existing infrastructures, while at the same time running merges from their data into our data, so that we would have a cutover. Basically, we would schedule, a date. We would go through, and their bank would essentially become our bank overnight. So the bank that those customers would go to for how many years would essentially become part of our bank overnight. And so there's a lot of security involved in that. We did a lot of assessments, making sure that we pass all the different stringent guidelines that we have to have when it comes to financial markets and things like that. So huge data centers, lots and lots of servers and networks, and just large environments. Before that, I worked at an environment where we had, close to, I think we had like 8,000 servers when I left there, and we had data centers all over the world, in Shanghai and Australia and in Europe and all over the United States. So just large data center network security environments that I was in charge of running in teams.
And we have, again, Richard talked a little bit about himself, and he's kind of a PHP MySQL rock star. He's done content management stuff, a lot of analytical stuff as well. So we're glad to have everybody on the team. And a little bit about myself is I've done everything from building financial dashboards. About, I want to say, 16 years ago, I started working, running at an internet hosting company doing Linux and PHP development as well. I've done everything to building auto-scaling streaming platforms on Amazon Web Services and working inside of enterprise Linux environments. And so really from our team, we have quite a bit of expertise when it comes all the way down from security, networking, Linux, Amazon Web Services, OpenStack, VMware. We have a diverse knowledge set there, and really kind of depth as well to it. So I'm really happy to have all you guys as part of the team, and thank you for joining us this evening and really letting everybody at Linux Academy get to know you a little bit, and really kind of our personalities, because I think as we go forward, our personalities will also kind of jump out in this, because as we're instructing and teaching on lessons, a lot of it seems, a lot of times we can't always let our personalities come out there, and so I'm very excited for everybody to get to learn our personalities as we go forward. So Terry, we're actually going to start with you. And I'm curious here, I know you've been working on some live labs, and you're also getting ready to start a new course at the Linux Academy. And so why don't you tell us a little bit about the live labs that you're getting ready to publish, what they do, what they're about, and then tell us about the course you're getting ready to publish and really kind of your goal behind it, or what that course is going to be about.
Sure, and for those of you who are on the call who may not be familiar with the Live Labs feature of Linux Academy, that's just an environment that Anthony's put together so that you can follow along a very detailed document that will teach you advanced Linux concepts hands-on, step-by-step, from beginning to end. So we've got a number of different labs that we've created in the past. So you can set up DNS bind, for example, in Ubuntu. And recently, I've completed a Nagios lab. And Nagios is an enterprise monitoring solution in Linux. It allows you to monitor one or more hosts for a number of different metrics in a Linux environment, whether that's CPU, memory utilization, MySQL services, etc. And that particular lab comes with 5 videos that actually tells you where to download, compile, install, and configure the latest version of Nagios and its core plugins. I'll also be following that Nagios lab up with a more advanced Nagios lab that will integrate NRPE and something called CollectD so that you can have a web published dashboard that you can look at all of the metrics that you're tracking in your enterprise across multiple hosts. And the lab will actually have you set up a Nagios server in addition to a host that you will monitor and then be able to view from your connected desktop at home on the lab servers. I'll also be following that up with an rsync lab that'll tell you how to back up enterprise or enterprise Linux servers. So you'll also have a couple of, and we typically make these Ubuntu. At this point, we're doing Ubuntu 14.04 LTS for our example labs. So we'll be able to show how to back up in an enterprise environment using cron jobs and the rsync daemon, so that you can see how you might want to do customized backups. And then upcoming, we're also going to be doing a Tomcat lab, which is a Java-based web enterprise server. And it can function as an HTML server for HTTP, or more commonly, it's used for Java enterprise services, APIs, web services that are based on Java. And then we'll also be reviewing quite closely the CentOS 7 release. It's currently in release candidate at this point, but we will be developing labs and a course on it as it becomes live after the Red Hat 7 release. So we've got a whole lot of stuff going on, and in the meantime, I'm filling up my time with blogs on Linux Academy, the blog site we have, blog.linuxacademy.com. Currently going through a series of blogs that are talking about Ubuntu 14.04 LTS and how it's changed since the last major LTS, which was version 12.04. And then you'll also notice here shortly, if it hasn't already been published by today, shortly we'll have a blog post on how to prepare for a Linux job interview, both technically and practically, some advice, some tips for what to be studying for, what questions to watch out for, and kind of how to handle yourself in those kind of situations.
That's really cool because, you know, what's really kind of resonating with me there is you talked about Nagios Labs a little bit. As I recall in the community this past week, there's been a lot of excitement around those Nagios Labs. So I think everybody's really excited to see that, and thank you for working on those.
No problem.
Steven, let's hear a little bit about kind of what you're working on with your hybrid course and what we expect to see from you in regards to OpenStack in the very near future.
Sure. I started the hybrid AWS Technologies course about 2 to 3 weeks ago, and we basically start off that course with talking about network integration. To give kind of a understanding of what I mean by a hybrid AWS Technologies, first of all, is a lot of customers already have existing environments. They already have data centers, whether that be their local on-premise environments, or maybe they're in a local data center that they are hosting with. Well, a lot of those environments, they want to know how to basically cleanly, securely, and take their environment and extend that into the AWS VPC network. And I basically I start from the ground up. I talk about network integration on how to integrate your site-to-site VPNs between your on-premise environments and into your AWS VPC. From there on, we talk about IAM with Active Directory and LDAP integration. So using your already existing identity network. So maybe you log into your corporate environment with a already existing user. You can then tie that into IAM, essentially allowing you to log into AWS resources with single sign-on, with identities that are already in your corporate environment. And then I talk a little bit about the new tool that AWS released last month, the new vCenter tool, which is really cool. I'm going to teach you how to basically take virtual machines that be running in your ESXi vCenter environment, and you can actually migrate that into AWS EC2. You can also take templates that you have. So if you have a golden template, say you have a Linux machine, virtual machine that is your base machine. It is basically what everyone is signed off on. This is what we want our settings. This is what we want our golden image to always be like when we spin up a Linux server. Well, basically, you can take that and have that same template and merge that into a template that you can spin up within AWS. It also works bi-directional. So if you want to take virtual machines and servers that you have running in AWS and pull those down into your existing data centers. You can do that with this tool as well, which is great for development or testing and things like that. Finally, in that course, we're going to talk about AWS Workspaces, which is pretty cool. That's what Amazon released last year in their conference. It's basically VDI, so it's virtual desktops that live in the data center within AWS. We're going to talk about, since you now have your networks integrated from your on-site premises and your data centers to AWS, how you can start distributing those desktops to your corporate environment, to thin clients, to phones, tablets, workstations, you name it. We'll be able to go through and start doing that.
One thing I like about your course, well, I like everything about everybody's course, of course. I'm biased. But one cool thing about that, where I think everybody should take a look at it, is when we're working with Amazon Web Services or any type of environment, really, when we connect to our servers or instances or VMs or however we do it, we need to connect to them securely. And if we're doing it from a remote location, we want to be sure to be using VPN. And one cool thing about that hybrid course, it actually goes into details on configuring and setting up a VPN, either from site to site or from your individual office or desktop computer, however you want, to Amazon Web Services for that secure communication. We know AWS has different layers where we can block IP addresses or allow IP addresses and security groups, but really the best way of doing it, again, is connecting that VPN to the virtual private cloud. And so that's something that's very exciting that I'm happy to see, and I'm glad to see that a part of the course. Now, let's hear a little bit about what you have planned for OpenStack, or just the next OpenStack course, or kind of when you think you're going to be working on that.
So OpenStack, I've been working on and kind of behind the scenes for at least 2 months, and I'm hoping that as soon as I'm done with the AWS hybrid course here in the next few weeks or in the next month, you're going to start to see videos start popping up within that OpenStack course pretty quickly. And we're going to talk about, from the beginning, of what really OpenStack is. And for those of you that are listening that don't know what OpenStack is, kind of a very high-level explanation of what OpenStack is it's a open source software and environment as a service platform. So it's everything from the compute level, the network level, and storage level, all working within an ecosystem of open source tools, basically, that will allow you to virtualize your storage and your network and your compute, all within a really, really cool software set. And I'm going to basically teach you not only what it is, but how you can take it and start from the ground up, how to use the compute pieces, the Nova, as what that's called. Use a lot of KVM within that course. So if you have not used KVM open source virtualization before, it's a great opportunity to get in and learn that as well. And we're basically going to start talking about, most of the course has been developed within Havana, but iStack, which is the new release label for OpenStack, which was actually released here on April 17th. So it's actually pretty young. We're gonna touch on that course, what's been new within that, what has Icehouse brought to the table within that new release, which is a lot of security. Quite honestly, that's one of their biggest focuses on this last release that Icehouse came out. So it's a great thing. We're gonna talk about a lot of the companies that use it. Companies like NASA, just to name one small company. It's a pretty cool course. It's a really awesome technology, and really look forward to getting some videos out there so you guys can start learning more about it.
I think it's funny. I think NASA uses everything. I think they're probably using, I know they're using a simple workflow service from Amazon Web Services. They probably have VMware infrastructure. They have OpenStack. They probably have everything going on in there. And you didn't really leave something out, but you're also working on something with me. We're doing a joint course on DevOps, and that's going to be really cool. I think you're going to be covering a lot of Puppet. I'm going to be doing a lot of Chef, and then we have a few other things that are be going into that course, maybe package management, deployment policies, or methodologies out to our environments, and so that's going to be pretty exciting. So I'm excited to work on that with you. Now, a little bit about the content that I'm working on. I'm working on finishing up the Amazon Web Services Certified SysOps Administrator certification. That will be finished up later this month. Basically, what's happening is I'm adding videos and content almost on a daily basis, more during the weekday than the weekends. But adding that on a daily basis. That's a pretty exciting course. It's an associate level course from Amazon Web Services. And as you guys know, we kind of try to design the courses from start to finish where you don't need to go anywhere else to get the content or education you need in order to pass a certification. You know, be it us adding the videos, the live labs, the quizzes. We also will add parts of the documentation or white papers that are required for the certification. I'm not sure if you've noticed in some of the other courses, but I'll actually print off specific parts of the white paper because you don't necessarily need to read all 80 pages. There only may need to be a page and a half about it. And so we really try to target that and give you everything you need in one organized spot in order for you to pass this certification. And so I'm really excited about that. It really focuses a lot on monitoring performance bottlenecks, network bottlenecks, security. So that's a very exciting course to work on as it kind of goes on the day-to-day tasks of a systems administrator or network administrator inside of Amazon Web Services. Now, there's a lot of Linux content coming out, as well as we heard Terry's focusing a lot on Linux content. We also are excited to, recently we had a poll on linuxacademy.com asking what course people or what course our members would like to see next, our next big certification course, I guess I would put it that way. And it was between the Amazon Web Services Certified Solutions Architect Professional Level or the Linux Professional Institute LPIC Level 2. And it was a pretty unanimous vote. It was about, I think, 28 to 13 or so in favor of the Linux Professional Institute Level 2. So don't worry, guys. We will be adding at some point in time, probably a little bit later this year, AWS Certified Professional Level, or in the beginning of 2015. We're not sure yet, but we'll post details on that. But what we are going to be having this year, in the very near future, immediately after the SysOps course, is we will be adding the Linux LAMP stack, which is going to be different than any other LAMP stack kind of education model together. I'm working on applying everything that you'd really see in an enterprise environment that companies use, all of their tools, all the way down to managing the infrastructure. So it's going to be extremely knowledgeable. It'll be from even from the development level up when it comes to managing LAMP. And on with that, we will have, and I don't know how detailed it will be, but we're going to have some PHP, Introduction to PHP programming in there as well. And then following that course, we're going to have an advanced Bash scripting course. We're very excited about that. We're going to try to focus it towards Linux automation. That's going to be pretty detailed in depth. And then we will also be doing the Linux Professional Institute Level 2, and I'll probably be doing all of those close to the exact same time. I'm not sure the order, if they'll be going on the exact same time or not, but that's all of the content that's going to be coming up for Linux on my end and Amazon Web Services for the rest of the year. So we really have a ton of stuff coming in between OpenStack, hybrid AWS, Tomcat courses, CentOS courses, a lot of live labs that we're going to be adding. So we really just have a ton of stuff. So that's extremely exciting. And on that note, let's kind of transition a little bit. I think Richard will help me here. We're going to be probably closing up here pretty quick. If you do have questions, please feel free to put them inside the chat, and we will address them. But we will be closing up here pretty quickly. But what I want to do is I want to talk about some of the code enhancements that we've made in the past week, as well as some
code enhancements.
Code enhancements, site enhancements. Yes. Do you know anything about that, Richard?
We've been doing a lot behind the scenes on the site lately. We actually just did our live event page not too long ago. Who I guess
very
actually
well. You did very good.
Yeah, I'm going to show it for the people that might watch the video later. We just basically have a simple agenda on the left.
Well,
the
hold
live feed.
Hold on, Richard. I have a question for you. So in the past 7 days, other than this background page, what can users that you've worked on?
What kind of what?
What can users see that you've worked on?
So it's been a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff.
Yes, it has. I'm just giving you a hard time because it's been behind the scenes, a lot of performance stuff.
I actually have been doing some work on the community, and I have a lot of big plans for the community coming up, such as getting some badges on some people, possibly rewarding people for answering questions, that kind of thing. our focus right now is to really engage the community. We want to get your ideas. We want to mix with you guys. We want to know what's going on.
Let's real quick. I'm going to interrupt you real quick because we have a little bit of development stuff to talk about. But Alex has asked us a quick question, and this is something I would like to address real quick. He says, first off, thank you all for great courses, great work. Well, thank you, Alex, for one, being a Linux Academy member, two, being here with us, and three, liking our work. We appreciate that a lot. And well, I guess four, asking the question that you're asking as well. So the question states, I'm preparing to take my RHCE exam. That's a Red Hat certification exam. And after that, start looking for a new job in the Linux field. Can you give me any tips to what I should focus, what should be my focus after that, AWS scripting, Bash, or Python? So there's a few things I want to address on there. One of the questions has been on the community quite a bit, will we be offering Red Hat content? And that certification exam is actually something that we'll be offering here in the very near future. And the reason we're going to be offering that in the very near future is because the Linux Professional Institute Level 2 is almost exactly the same. I say almost exactly the same, probably about 70% the same content-wise as the Red Hat certification, except maybe weights are going to be a little bit different and presentation might be a little bit different. So we're probably going to try to create some synergies around that and add in that Red Hat exam as well. And then his question was, what should I focus on, AWS or scripting with Bash and Python? Well, the first thing I want to address is, what you have to remember is that Linux is an operating system. And in the corporate environment, or any environment now, Linux doesn't run on a physical machine. It used to be you installed an operating system. Think your PC, you install Windows, it runs on your PC. Well, now you really have virtual machines that Linux runs on. And what happens is those virtual machines are running on something else. They're running on a host. Now, that host in most corporate environments right now is one of three things. It's either OpenStack, VMware, or Amazon Web Services. So if you want to be valuable to an employer, what you need to do is you need to start learning, or at least have a good overview of one, VMware, because right now it's just most corporations have it. There's a lot moving away from that towards OpenStack and Amazon Web Services. You'll notice a lot of corporations are even doing hybrid environments, are starting to dabble in Amazon Web Services. So really, I would absolutely suggest that you take an AWS course that we have, that you take the VMware course that we have, and that you take the OpenStack course, just to have familiarity when it comes to launching and running virtual machines, how the networking works, how it works. That's very important in job interviews, and that really helps you when it comes to being more marketable as an employee as well. Then what you need to do is decide what you want to become an expert in. One, you need to continue improving on Linux. You're going to need to take our DevOps course. You're going to need to take the LAMP course, because these are all common things you're going to notice in corporate environments. Deployment applications such as Puppet and Chef. You're going to want to be familiar with these tools. Take the Linux Academy live labs for those tools that we're pushing out that will help you become familiar with them. And then, just decide, are you going to be an expert in AWS? Are you going to be an expert in VMware? And one thing that I would suggest is that you focus on one of the two hot emerging technologies to complement your Linux skills. Number one, you're going to have to know Bash scripting. Python automation inside of Linux environments is common, probably not as common as Bash. So I'd probably be a little familiar with Python. I would go through the Bash scripting and be familiar with it as well. The other side of that is I would focus on one of the two technologies, OpenStack or Amazon Web Services. Those are the emerging technologies that will probably start replacing VMware when it has really started replacing VMware. And again, Terry or Steven or anybody can correct me if I'm incorrect on this, but I really believe you're going to want to stay in one of those two technologies and really be actionable and knowledgeable in both, and continue to be knowledgeable, because if we look at the pace of change just between OpenStack and Amazon Web Services, it's really kind of insane at the pace of change that happens. They're sending out updates on a weekly basis. It's fantastic, and sometimes it's challenging to make sure our content's up to date, because they'll change the interface on EC2, which will completely change how 30 of our videos look. If you're looking at for In demand, what you have is you have a lot of VMware people that are already trained out there. You don't have a lot of OpenStack and Amazon Web Services people trained out there. So if you're looking for what's also in demand, those two things might work out. If you're looking for just an overall kind of something where a lot of companies are using VMware, your primary importance is just getting into one of those places. VMware is a very, very good option with that as well. So absolutely, you don't stop learning after you get your Linux certification. You continue moving on. You learn advanced stuff. You learn the whole stack with it. And again, Linux is just part of the stack. Linux is the operating system in our virtualization stack. It's the operating system in our coding stack. It's the operating system it's the platform. It's the operating system on our platform. So absolutely, yes to all of that. Really, sorry, that kind of really long answer. But does anybody else have anything to chime in there?
Not on that topic. I did want to say that we did have a much bigger live event planned before, right, Anthony?
We did in August, actually. This is tonight's really to try to help us figure out how to make that good.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about what some of the awesome things we had originally planned for that event. Do you want to let that out of the bag a little bit?
Sure. I don't want to. It sounds like
okay.
Go for it. Well, I mean, I want to, but it sounds like you want. Just do it. There you go.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So in the future, we're gonna be doing some interesting stuff.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead. I'm just kidding.
What? Okay. I'm just gonna mute him. All right. So we have some big stuff planned for our future live events. What we wanted to do is a live demonstration and coupled with a giveaway. And the way we're going to do that, we were going to actually code that. And what we're going to code that in, Anthony?
Actually, it probably will be on this page, but you can't forget to mention the awesome LinuxAcademy.com shirts that we have now printed up.
Yes, actually, some people have been asking about this, the shirts, if they can buy them.
I don't know. I'd rather give them away.
Yeah, I think
giveaways.
You got to win a shirt. You can't buy them. That's what we're sticking to.
Yep, you got to win a shirt.
Okay.
I mean, I'll sell it to you, Richard.
You've been trying. I'm gonna talk to the person that's supposed to handle that for you because I've never gotten that shirt the entire year I've worked here. So maybe I got to win. I'm gonna enter in the contest too.
I shipped it Thursday, so it should arrive this time in 2015.
Okay. I'm just gonna have to win one like everybody else.
So what else do we got going for the live event?
Live event.
Basically, we're gonna try to give a whole bunch of stuff away. You know,
we want to do good demonstrations too. And one of the demonstrations was going to be we were going to pick the winner from the database of intrants, and show that live, and pick the winner live like that.
Okay, Alex wins. He gets a shirt for attending. So what we're hoping that this turns into, and again, this is really kind of a, it'll be posted on the site. This is a what's going on, what's coming, almost like a mid-year update. But we want to be kind of prepared. We want to get better at this. And as we improve, this not being the first time, or when it's not the first time, we're going to kind of push it a little bit more for everybody to be aware so we can answer questions live and do that type of thing. And really, that's going to be kind of cool, our giveaway, because what's going to happen is I'm going to write some bash. It's going to be really just going to be a bash script. It's going to be using bash coding language, and we're going to write basically a randomizer which pulls from all of the entries in the table and for our contest giveaway. And everybody's going to be able to see the code. They're going to be able to see everything. So number one, it'll be fair. You can't debate it unless somebody comes up with a way that I wrote the code wrong, which would be fantastic or bad, however you want to look at it. But so that'll all be there, and you're going to learn something, which at the Linux Academy, our biggest thing is to continue learning and always be learning. And so that's what we want to try to incorporate when we do this. We want to have those learning things. We want to give stuff away, but we want it to be a learning process. So that's very excited, Richard. Do you have anything else to add on it? I'm glad you're working on it.
No, I'm really excited for it. just look for that in the future, and there'll be announcements on the upcoming features we got coming up, learning plans. Yeah, we'll be announcing that as they come out.
So, I could be reading this wrong. How do we pronounce this, Nick, in chat? C. Baudier? Baudier?
It's first name, last. It's first initial, last name.
Okay. Well, let's give him a shirt too. He's here too.
Awesome.
He just said LOL, but we'll call that a country.
I work for you for a year, and he says LOL, and he gets a shirt.
Have you ever once said LOL to me?
Do it now, Richard.
I have made you LOL, so okay, we're getting off track here.
Shirt for you. Okay, so yeah, that's very exciting. Hey, let's take a. I'm gonna somehow figure out how to share my screen. I had it on here, but it went away.
Yeah, just put it up. I'll switch you over.
I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to talk about a few of the code updates that just came out. We're going to talk about a little bit of the code that's coming, and then we're going to finish up. So probably about 10 minutes of C. Baudier. I think that's what he's saying. It's C. Baudier. Am I wrong?
Baudier.
Shirt for you. Okay. And we'll talk a little bit about the development. We'll probably finish up here very quickly. Hopefully we're not boring you guys for being the first time around. Here we go. All right. So we have made a few adjustments this past week. One of the big adjustments, or two of the big adjustments we've made, are massive changes in our labs platform. There was a few slowness issues inside of there, and so what we've done is we've placed a major upgrade on there, resolved any type of slowness that was there, and then also reduced, before our live labs, there was a 24-hour cooldown, because just kind of the way the lab technology is in there, there's really kind of a requirement for us to have the 24-hour cooldown. And while I was in there rewriting some code, I actually made it so the lab cooldowns are now 1 hour. So you can take as many self-paced labs as you want in a day. Okay, so if we have 20 labs, you can take 20 labs in a day. You can take the same lab up to 24 times a day with a 1 hour cooldown. So that's really cool. I'm very glad to be able to push that out there. I know everybody, maybe not everybody, I know there was a lot of people asking for reduced cooldowns on that. So I'm very excited to reduce it from 24 hours to 1 hour. So that's really, really exciting. The other side of that was we have our server lab. If I were to start my server here, but with server labs, we now have DNS host names. So, and this is a beta feature, and one of the problems with DNS host names, because when you start your lab, you stop your lab, you fire up a new server distribution, one of the things about it is your internet provider could be caching your IP address in that DNS. So it may not update, and we can't really do anything about that. That's a DNS ISP provider thing. But for the most part, we're having great returns on a lot of people saying it's instantly updating for them. And really a lot of the internet providers they have really quick cache updates. I don't know. It's working really good. Yeah, they have really good TTLs. We set our TTL to expire 30 seconds for those, but they're really good. So everybody's having pretty good issues with that. And really, the benefit of it is you can connect to it using that. I don't know if that's a huge benefit, but the real benefit is when we start adding in some of our LampStack stuff, some of our LPIC level 2 stuff, you're going to have a host name that you can publicly hit to go to your server. So if you're setting up a virtual host on your lab server in order to learn LampStack or Nginx hosting, you can actually use the domain name. So that's now available. We added that. So we had two pretty cool lab upgrades this week. There's a couple new things that we're also working on currently. First one is we have our new search. We have a search inside of the community as well as a search up here. We labeled it Search Beta. And if I were to type AWS certification, it shows all of our results associated, and it's really kind of searching the text for certifications. So it's going to show your video results, it's going to show our community results, and then it's also going to show any self-paced labs that are associated with it. So if you're searching for something such as VPC setup. You're going to get all of the video results for VPC setup. You're going to get all of the conversations around VPC setup, and you're going to get any labs associated with VP setup. And then this also relates to community. Community really now has a good search function with it. So I'm very excited about that. Those were some two. What's that?
That's really fun to search in the community, Anthony. Search for past in the community. It's a fun one to search. Past. P-A-S-S-E-D.
Past. You want me to search for past?
Yeah.
Let's search for past. Oh, that's pretty good. Clever.
Look at that. Look at all those people posting about how they passed their exams.
On that note, when you guys do that, you should share on the community. But absolutely, if you're looking for testimonials or something, look for past. That's really cool. I actually haven't looked at that. Thank you, Richard. We're still working on this stuff. We're trying to make the community easier to use because we want everybody to use it, kind of be part of it. We're still working on a lot of stuff. I'm actually going to be working on a little bit more code that's lab related as well as community related. I'm not going to go into details on that yet because that kind of takes the fun out of the announcement. On that note, let's talk about your learning plans, Richard. What does that look like?
Learning plans, we're still collecting some ideas on how it should really work, but it's going to go something like you expect a date that you want to pass your certification. So, say for example, if you wanted to take an exam for LPIC 101, then you would set a date. Say you wanted to take that and have that certification by Christmas. So you'd set December 21st. And then what it would do is break up and assign to you and keep track of your progress and kind of keep you on track to that goal. That's kind of the way we're planning that out.
I think it's also going to help send you reminders.
Yes, people have been asking us to remind them to take the courses. Yes. They've actually been asking for that.
Allows them to set up a study time where they want to study every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 p.m. for 30 minutes, where it'll send a reminder ahead of time. And then if they skip it, and this is something that we're still working on, maybe with a little feedback, but if they skip it, or you're still working on, actually letting you do all that stuff, if they skip it, how can they get caught up? And so we're trying to look at how we can make that really beneficial for everybody else. So that would be really cool.
That's a really exciting feature. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I'm glad you're working on that, Richard. Hopefully we can get some people in the community posting a little bit. We had a thread on that. We can talk about it a little bit more. But thanks for working on all that. Thanks for all your code updates this past week. I know a lot of the users can't really see all the back-end changes, but believe it or not, we've sped up a lot of things, cleaned up a lot of things. Heck, I think we changed some of the layout just on the control panel. Minor changes, but they're significant when it comes to user experience, believe it or not. Just kind of feeling clean a little bit when it comes to sites, so that's very exciting. And I think that's it for everything. We talked about what's coming up, what we're going to be working on, all of that good stuff. Unless Terry, Steven, Richard, you guys have anything to say, we might say a quick farewell.
Yeah, I'll just thanks for coming, guys, and we appreciate any feedback you guys got. Richard at Linux Academy, you can't contact me yet. How do we even have that? Well, you can visit my thread in the community. That's what we can do.
They can email you, Richard at linuxacademy.com.
Yes, they can. If they want to get lost in the sea of a million emails.
I'm fairly certain anytime somebody goes to ask a question, it'll either A, submit us a ticket, they do a technical support, or B, post directly on the community. If you have ideas, please post them on the community so everybody else can contribute. Because we very much love hearing user feedback and what you guys want and are looking for. So post that on the community. But it's really easy to get a hold of us just through that Ask a Question or on community. We're on literally all the time. So again, thanks to everybody for being here. Thanks for our shirt winners. Try to send us a quick Ask a Question with some of your details, and we will get that out to you, such as size and where you would like the shirt to go, and we will get those out to you hopefully quicker than Richard got his shirt, which he still has not gotten yet, because it took me a while to send it. So again,
I'm gonna rig the contest.
again,
I have the prototype shirt, so.
that's true. You had a shirt. You had the Pinehead shirts.
I do.
Yes, yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Collector's edition on eBay right after this.
Vintage. All right, well, everybody, thanks for being here. Thank you, Stephen, Terry, and Richard for being here. And that's going to conclude it for our first live stream. I think it went pretty well, and I think we'll get better as we go
One of many
on.
to come.
What's that?
I said one of many to come.
One of many to come. And we will see you guys on the next one.
Thanks, everybody.
See you.
Bye.